Okay, welcome back to some Elite Dangerous. In this video we're going to be focusing on trading. It's something that I've been getting into recently. I'm not very advanced into it at all by any stretch of the imagination, so I've been searching out for some tools to help me to do some trading. And I'm going to keep passing that along to you as I keep finding that they're useful. And I have one for you today, which is Thrudds tool. It's probably one of the more known ones, and there's a good reason for that. It's fantastic. It works really well. It'll help out new traders and older traders alike because the tools will always be valuable. I'm going to Alt Tab and jump into my browser and show you how to use the program and where it's located at. I'm going to put the link in the description, but you can probably see right up there. Anyway, when you get to this website, one of the things you're going to want to do, switch over here. Let me open up a new tab for you. Okay, so when we jump in here, the one tab you're going to want to look at above all else to find bi-directional trades, and that's of course trading from one station to the other station and then being able to find a commodity on there and bring it back to the other station you started from. That way you can create this loop where you can get a very high profit per hour. Okay, so what you're going to want to do is go to Find Trades, and you're going to want to go to the top here. They have some instructions, but it's pretty self-explanatory and easy, but let's go over it anyway. Alright, so what you're going to see here is current location. Current location, let's type in, for instance, Wuru. And it's pretty handy that it comes down with different stations that are spelled similarly to what you just typed in. So if you don't know the full name, like for instance whatever the hell that is, Wurun Bijao, whatever, if you don't know the station name, well, there you go, you could just go over here and complete it. We're just gonna go with regular Wuru, and we're gonna do a 60 light year search range box. Now what does that mean? It means if you look at the Wuru sector, it'll search within 60 light years around it in a radius, so it's pretty good. You want to make that as far outreaching as you can. I personally wish you can go even 200 light years and all that, but whatever. Minimum profit per ton, for some reason it always defaults to 800, but I don't know what's wrong with it, because it always tells me you can't put anything less than 1200. So make sure to put it to 1200. And then, unless you're looking for something very specific, but know that your search results are going to vary, you may not come back with any searches if you can't find anything for that much, and it could be a few credits off. So I like to put it for 1200, and then I'll just look at things, because more important than just the profit per ton is also the distance that the stations are to each other in light seconds within the system. And so for instance, you start off at the star, it's going to take you, let's say here I have it selected for 400 light seconds is the maximum I want showing up on my search results from the star. So I like to put it at 400. I think that's a workable number. And then the max distance between systems is 33 light years is what I want. That's my search criteria, because anything above that starts to become 3, 4, 5, 6 jumps. With 33 you can get away with even doing 3 jumps or less, 2 jumps even. So let's just leave that at 33. But remember, you could put whatever your criteria demands. You know, whatever you need for your own personal usage. Okay, so the ship size. What's important about that is that different ships have different landing pads that they can land on. So a small ship like a Sidewinder, an Eagle, a Hauler, an Adder, a Viper, they can land on the small tiny pads. That means that they can go to outposts, they can go to stations, they can go to a wide variety of areas. However, if you start to get into a Lakon Type 6 or an Asp or a Python, you have to use those large pads that exist. Now, those are available on outposts as well, so you're pretty good to go there. However, if you look at other ships that are large, Clipper, dropships, etc., those can only land on the oversized pads, and those you can't find on the outposts. So that really affects on what places you can land or can't. So Thrudd takes that into consideration depending on what you select, and will show your search results on somewhere where you can actually land. Because imagine if you had something like an Anaconda, and you want to land somewhere, you arrive at the station, you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna be making myself a killing here, and then suddenly you realize it's an outpost. It's like, oh, I can't do anything with this. And then of course the important thing for this video in particular is going to be the bidirectional setting. You could do the one way to do one-off searches. In fact, let's do one right now with the settings that we have. You could see a ton of different systems that they give you right here available to you. I mean, there's a whole bunch, and you can filter them or sort them to how you want. So if you want minimum distance, here you have one that's in CD37, 641, and you could buy some beryllium. It's 75 light seconds away from the star, and then you're going to want to go to the SITA port, and that's 38 light seconds. That's great, and you're going to make some profit. However, it's one way only. So if you get to SITA, now you're going to have to go somewhere else or buy something at SITA and then take it to a whole other station. You could create a sort of loop with that if you wish. So that's something that you have to look at, and those are the more advanced tools, and I'm going to be covering that in a future video. Right now, since I'm newer at trading, you know, I'm going to stay with more of the basics and give you some tips on that. Eventually, though, I do want to become proficient enough with trading that I won't even need a tool like this. However, I'll still use one to always do cross checks to see, you know, for instance, to see what stock levels that certain stations has. You could see indirectly from here. But let's go to bidirectional and see what we come up with. Aha. Great. This actually looks really promising. So, okay, so here we are at the generate system. It's the Helen terminal. They're telling us it's 50 light seconds away from the star, and you're going to want to buy some beryllium and take it to the Ferropatry dock station. And it's 187 light seconds away from the star. So that's great. That means we don't have to travel that much, because remember, it's important to determine how far you're going to have to travel every single time you arrive at a star system. If you have 8,000 light seconds to travel to get to that system, it's going to really chew into your profits. So that's something you're going to want to determine and try to keep as low as possible. That's why I personally don't like to go above 400. And the next thing that you're going to want to look out for is the distance right over here. Before you start looking at all the profits and anything else, these are the two things I recommend you look at first, and that you sort it by distance first. And the distance over here, what's the difference between that and the light seconds? Well, this distance is indicating the distance between the solar systems that you have to travel to. So they're 19.53, and on a Lakon Type 6 with the FSD drive that I have currently, it's about 2 jumps, and that's fantastic. 2 jumps, I'll deal with that. And now next, we want to look at the price. Price is right over here. It's 7,631. That's what they want you to buy it for. Now, here's the interesting thing. It was updated 1 hour and 40 minutes ago. That's a very important thing to look at, because if this was updated, let's say 48 hours ago, I think that's the maximum time limit that they have set here before search ranges. They try not to bring it up. An hour and 40 minutes ago means that the stocks should be pretty good, and that when you arrive at the station, it's going to have high supply, and the next station you're going to sell it to, which is going to be, of course, at Ferropatry dock, that is going to have a high demand. And that's exactly the kind of scenario you want to make profit, obviously. So you'll buy it at that much, and when you arrive at the station, you want to double check to see that you can actually get this kind of money for it, 91.04. Now, it was updated 0 minutes ago, so somebody is currently trading there, and they're updating this information. And you know, more than likely it's going to be accurate. So if you haven't checked that other station out, some people, what they'll do to make sure that the prices are right, they'll fly over to that station, take a look at the price, and then of course they'll have taken a look at this station's price to see if they can buy it. And they're like, okay, great, we have one leg of the journey right there. Then after that, they take a look at the price of the product that they would buy there to return it back to this station, and then they verify that the prices are there and that the stock levels are there. Okay, so once you do that, you take your beryllium and you take it over to at Ferropatry dock, and once you arrive there, you'll buy the Imperial slaves, and then you'll sell it back to Helen terminal, and you'll create that loop. Now, the interesting thing is that there's multiple options here. If you don't want to do the beryllium, or let's say the beryllium right now is offering very low availability, well, you could actually get superconductors instead. Check that out. That's an alternative thing that you can buy. Or you could buy some gold. So this station has some extra things you could work out here, so that way you don't have to feel locked in. You know, there's 3 different things that you could buy in case one of the supplies become low. So that's that little bit of insurance and backup that you have there. And it's nice to have that both ways as well. Where, for instance, if you go to the Pharaoh Patri dock, you're going to be buying Imperial slaves pretty much throughout. That only has that one option. However, here from the Helen terminal, you have beryllium, superconductors, gold. You also have, I think, one more, indium. So there's a wide selection of things that you could buy from that station, and it's pretty well equipped. So, okay, now that we have that information in mind, let's choose something. Okay, and here we are. Let's go and check out the Starport services and then jump down to the commodities market. And let's look for superconductors, and there we go. There it is. Okay, they're selling it for $61.79. Remember, you want to go based on buy up here. Buy is how much you're going to buy it for, and sell is for how much they'll buy it from you for. It's important to realize that, because you may think, okay, I could sell it for $60.52. You know, it's just a little backwards if you think about it at first glance. You're thinking sell is how much you're going to sell it for. No, that's how much they're going to buy it. It wouldn't make sense, because then you'd just be able to flip the same product on the same station. So anyway, the price is $61.79. Let's take a look at what they were saying. They were telling us to buy it for $61.79. So the price is right on. Let's also take a look at the beryllium. Let's find where that's at. And what is beryllium considered? It's a metal. Okay. So here's beryllium. It's 7631. And it's currently 7631. So those are 2 resources for whatever given reason. If suddenly the supply bottoms out and that's it, now it's worth way more than the galactic average, or how much you could sell it for. You could swap products to, instead of beryllium, superconductors. But let's go ahead and buy some. Let's see. This one seems to have the higher profit margin right there. So let's buy some beryllium. Okay. And we're going to be paying 854,672. Let's buy it. Now let's exit out of here. Launch. And I'm kind of going a little blind on this. I'm hoping that the other station has it, just because I think that that's a better example of the tool. Although you would want to verify your prices first. You want to go to @Pharaoh. Okay. Plot that route. And has this released me yet? Now it has. Okay. Track that landing gear, and let's take off here. That's a big ship. Is that a Cobra Mark III? What is that? An Asp? I still don't know my silhouettes too well. That one's a Cobra Mark III in front. Okay, so don't worry about aligning yourself unless it's like right where the docking port comes out, that mail slot. If it requires you to go backwards, because remember, time is of the essence when you're trying to trade. We have to wait for that mass lock to go away. But let's say my designation was in the opposite direction of the station, so I have to exit the mail slot, turn around, and then go in the opposite direction, following along the line of the space station. Don't do that. Just pull ahead, keep going, get out of mass locked, charge up your engines, and then point in the direction that you need to jump to. That way you don't have to waste time trying to clear the station again for the second time, running along its length. Because remember, you want to do this as fast as possible, because the more runs you can squeeze in per hour, the more profit you're making. So that's very important to remember that, because if you make 5 runs and you could have made 6 runs, well, that's again chewing into your profits. @Pharaoh, huh? We're already here? 1 jump, huh? Interesting. Okay, so let's go to... was that station that we needed to go to? I actually know. We need to jump to it. I was thinking that was a little bit early. I got there a little too soon. I thought it was supposed to be 2 jumps. It is 2 jumps, dummy. Anyway, on we go. But as I was saying, was like right there, I wasted some time. You want to be able to try and squeeze in as many runs as per hour as much as you can. And this is one of the reasons why you want to get the stars or the systems or stations to be as close to the stars as possible every single time you jump in. That way you have less travel time on your super cruise and you can get to there quicker and you can make more money per hour. Okay, now we're finally in a Pharaoh system. Let's turn here and there's the Patry dock, lock destination. And just a quick tip for any of you who are still struggling with overshooting your target, or sometimes, you know, it happens and you're like, okay, well, that sucks. Or maybe you're pulling back and going to the recommended speed well before you arrive there. The simple thing to do that somebody explained it to me was just wait till it gets to 7 seconds. And when you're arriving at 7 seconds on the countdown timer, pull back and go to the recommended speed. It'll hover around 6 and 7 seconds, and you'll arrive at your time, at your designation, as fast as possible. You can't get there any faster. If not, you'd overshoot. Unless you use something along the lines of gravity wells to, you know, where the alignment's right. But other than that, this is the fastest you can arrive there. And I've noticed I've been able to get away with 6 seconds. I try to cut it at 7 and at 6. Now you'll see that the countdown timer is going up a bit now, and the reason for that is because I'm getting closer to the gravity wells, and until I break free from one of them, like I just broke free from the moon's gravity well, and now I'm going to be entering the gravity well of the planet, or stronger pull on it. But fortunately it's not slowing me down. I'm wide enough away from it so that it doesn't slow me down from my current speed. Okay, so here we go. As soon as you get down to 1 mm, that's when you cut it and disengage. These are all just basic tips for anybody who's looking to getting into the game or getting into trading. Alright. Let's hope that the price is alright on this station. Let's request a dock.
Docking request granted.
And we want landing pad 3. Remember that. And it's best to start aligning yourself now rather than trying to do so when you get close by, because if you do, you can land quicker and every second counts. What I like to do is set up a stopwatch and try to race against myself. It makes this a little bit more entertaining because this could be rather dull. Woo! I'm about to overshoot that. I'm coming in hot. Let's start aligning myself. That took a whole lot longer than what I'm used to doing. But alright, well, we got it done. That's what matters. Alright, let's refuel while we're here. Go to the commodities market. And we were selling what? Beryllium? Okay, so we can make a profit of 1,472 credits per every ton. And we're going to be making... how much? 164,000 credits on that one run. That's fantastic. And now from here, we're going to want to make sure to buy some slaves. But remember, verify the price. It's Alt-Tab. You could run this website, by the way, on your smartphone. It works on my smartphone easily, so I'm sure. And I have a Galaxy Note 3, so I'm sure it runs on pretty much every single one out there. And on top of that, you could put it on a secondary screen or what have you. It works really well. Maybe your tablet. Anyway, they're telling us to buy it for 15,718. So, how much can we buy it for? 15,718. There we go. And let's buy this. And we'll head back. exit, launch. Let's plot a course back. It's a good thing to plot a course back while you're in the middle of undocking because, well, you can't do anything until it releases you anyway, so hey, might as well save some time. And now there are ways where you can dock and undock faster, especially from the big stations. Some people consider it an exploit, some people consider it cheap, other people don't give a damn and they're trying to maximize their speed. And they're like, what of it? How does it hurt you? In fact, it should help you even if I'm in online play because it means I'm not going to be coming out of that mail slot. And basically what it is just as soon as you hit launch and it starts to, you know, move you around to release you, as soon as you hit that button, you just hit escape and you come over here and you hit save and exit to main menu and then you launch the game again. Whether you do solo play or online play. And then from there, you launch. When you come back into the game, you're going to see that you don't need to exit the station or anything. In fact, you're going to be so far away from the station that you're not even going to be mass locked. All you have to do is just point in the direction, you know, lock in your course, point the direction, charge up that engine, and go. So it shaves about a good minute to a minute and a half depending on how fast you are to get in and out of the station. And it also eliminates any risk of running into anything along the way. I kind of like docking and undocking, but sometimes if I find myself, you know, 30 minutes, I'm doing really good timing and I'm making a lot of profit, sometimes I'll start to resort to that just to see if I can beat my previous time because like I said, I like to time myself. But oftentimes I find myself just traveling around normally on my own, just, you know, docking and undocking. It's up to you. I guess it really doesn't affect anyone else. It's just up to you how you want to handle it. Okay, we're on our way back. We're doing pretty good time. I mean, it's nothing crazy. I'm not really timing it right now, but I could tell we're doing pretty good timing. I could do much better if I wasn't commentating, but hey, I wouldn't be able to bring you this video now, would I? Helen Terminal. Oh, there it is. And remember, keep that speed. Keep your throttle full throttle until you get to about 7 seconds, and then bring it down to recommended. There we go. Perfect. Yeah, so Thrudds Tool, it's a fantastic website to find all sorts of trade data and where you can go all throughout the galaxy. Well, inhabited space, I should say, because if you go out far enough into outer space, there's not going to be any space stations, there's not going to be any traffic, there's nothing. It's just you and the planets. So that's something to take into consideration. However, all known space that's colonized, Thrudds Tool is covering it. And I'm sure that as it continues to grow and they expand the game world or colonies start expanding out further into space, I'm pretty sure that Thrudds will cover it because it's crowdsourced. Which brings me to a suggestion. If you find this site useful, if you find Thrudds Tool useful in any way to you, please contribute to the website. You can do so easily. All you have to do is just create an account and you could start adding certain data onto their website. Because remember, it's crowdsourced, meaning it requires all of us to contribute in order to be an effective tool. And as you continue to contribute more and more, you're going to find that you're going to start ranking up and you'll be able to add more and more important information and even delete certain bits of information like stations that are no longer valuable or worthless or what have you. Or maybe if one point storyline wise one gets destroyed or a new one gets built. Whatever the case may be. Okay, so we need to go to 33. There it is. Which makes me wonder. I wonder if you'll be able to destroy a station one day. Maybe like if it's part of the storyline. That'd be kind of cool to see. Start port services, and let's see how much profit we made. Where are them slaves at? Those lousy good-for-nothing slaves. Poor people. Ooh, that's pretty good profit right there. 139,664. So that's 140,000, you could say. So I made, what was it, 164,000 one way and 140,000 the other way, and it took me how long? I don't know. I didn't keep track of it. But I think it's safe to say that it took me about 10 to 12 minutes at worst. Maybe even potentially down to 8-9 minutes. I don't know. What I'll do is I'll make an annotation. I'll check the time of how long it took me, and I'll put an annotation up right now of how long it took me. But anyway, that's Thrudds tool. Be sure to check it out. And as I continue to discover more and more tools out there, and I also learned some more advanced trading techniques where I can spot and identify trading routes on my own, because there is some tools you could use here on the side that can help you, that professional traders keep on saying that, hey, you just have to do this, put your settings here, do this, and more or less you know what to look out for. And that's exactly what I want to become more proficient at, and as I become better, I'll bring that information over to you. Okay, well, I hope you enjoyed this video, and make sure to stay tuned for more in the future. I plan on doing another video, one for mining, tips and tricks on mining, and because mining is really hated in this game right now, and understandably so. It needs a lot of work, and Frontier Developments has said that they are going to work on it. However, with that said, there are a lot of things that you could do to maximize your mining efforts to become more efficient with it. And I hope to cover that on a future video, as well as one for bounty hunting, and my personal favorite, even though it's not profitable really, exploration. Ultimately, one day, what I want to do is, let's zoom out here for a second. Ultimately, one day on my Explore equipped ASP, I want to travel throughout this entire galaxy, and I want to go all the way out there and then come back. And I'll probably be taking plenty of, scenery footage and all that, and then bring it to you and making a sort of video from it. So I hope you look forward to that, and that you'll watch the next video. I'll see you then.